Hi, I'm Kelsey from Crafting for Weeks, and today I'm going to be showing you the Trinity stitch. So today I'm using some bulky Color Made Easy yarn and a size L hook so you guys can see the stitches. I've started with an even number of chains, and I'm going to begin by working one single crochet into that second chain from my hook. Now once I get that single crochet in, I'm going to begin my Trinity stitches. I'm going to pull up a loop in this first stitch, that same space as the single crochet. That's 2 loops on my hook right now. And then I'm going to pull up a loop in each of the next 2 chains. 1 loop there and 1 loop here. So I now have 4 loops on my hook. With 4 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. At this point, I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm ready to start my next one. So I'm going to work in that same stitch as the last leg of the previous Trinity stitch, and then over the next 2 chains. So pull up a loop here, and pull up a loop right here. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, and I'm going to chain 1 again. I'm going to continue to do this across my row until I have just 2 stitches left. The last 2 stitches are worked a little bit differently, so we'll pause there and go over it. Okay, so now I have just 2 stitches left in this row. So I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing, working in that same stitch as the previous one, and over the next 2, pulling up a loop. When I have 4 loops in my hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4. Now I'm not going to chain this time. I'm just going to single crochet in that same stitch as the last leg. And that completes our first row of Trinity stitch. We're going to chain 1 and flip this over, and then I'll show you guys how to work across the back side. Okay, so on the back side, you'll see we have the first stitch is that single crochet from the end of your previous row, and you're going to work 1 single crochet on top of the previous single crochet. Then you're going to begin pulling up your loops like you did in the first row. You're going to work in the same stitch as that single crochet for your first loop, but as you go across, you'll notice this is the top of the stitch and these are the chain spaces. We're going to be using each of those to pull up a loop. So we'll start in that first stitch, and then we're going to work into the top of this stitch and into this chain space right here. And that is going to be where we pull up our 4 loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4, and then we'll chain 1. We're going to repeat that. We're going to work in the same place as that previous stitch, and then we're going to work in the top of the next stitch, and then into that chain space. At this point we have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 4, and chain 1. You're going to repeat this across your row, working into the top of the stitches and into the chain spaces until you have 2 stitches left. So we'll yarn over, pull through all 4, and then we have those 2 stitches left at the end. And from here we're going to, oops, we forgot to chain 1, hold on, chain 1, and then you're going to begin working that last Trinity stitch, pull up a loop, whoops, going to struggle through this last stitch apparently. So we're going to pull up a loop, and then we'll pull up a loop in each of the next 2 spaces. 1 right here, and 1 in that last stitch, which is the very first single crochet we put in the previous row. So we're going to pull up those loops, we're going to yarn over, pull through all 4, and we're going to skip the chain 1 this time and just single crochet in that last space. You'll notice that the stitch at the end of the row and at the beginning of the row does not have a chain between the single crochet and the Trinity stitch, and that's something you want to keep in mind as you work. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate one more row of this for you, and as I do that I'm going to talk a little bit about the stitch. Now we use the Trinity stitch in the Pineapple and Pine Crochet Along for the Summer Waves tops. This is a set of 3 tops. It's a short sleeve cardigan, a long sleeve sweater, and a pullover tunic beach cover. And we use this stitch as a trim border element and also for texture. This works up to be a pretty dense stitch, so it's actually a great option for border or trim, and it works up about the same height as a single crochet, so you can definitely swap it into your patterns if you're wanting to add a little bit of texture instead of just a plain single crochet. It's a little bit more of a yarn eater than a standard single crochet, but you do get some added texture and the fabric's a little bit more dense. Okay, so now that I've finished that row, I'm going to show you a little bit of the texture. You can see how those Trinity stitches kind of create some shapes that a standard single crochet won't. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You can find more of my work at craftingforweeks.com.